Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly Jinston from the Philippines. Today I'd like to talk about the greenhouse gas emission linked to rice production and why is it important to address this issue. Carbon emission growing production of rice or sativa by City Leyte, Philippines. So rice is the most important crop in the Philippines since it is an essential food for the Filipinos. So basically, Filipinos love for rice. According to Mattert and Fairhurst 2002 et al., rice is scientifically known as Oryza sativa L. It is one of the significant crop in numerous developing nations worldwide. In particular, the Philippines is one of the countries in Asia where rice is the staple food, and rice production has a big impact on agriculture sector in the country. Rice fields are a major source of methane and nitrous oxide and can also be a source of sink of carbon dioxide. The estimated annual of methane emission rates from rice fields are 6.15 million tons, which is equivalent to 17.9% of global methane emission, according to Van Eugen and Ferrero 2006. So rice production causes carbon emissions, primarily methane and nitrous oxide. So this is gases released into the atmosphere by human activities, intensifying the natural effect of greenhouse and trapping the heat to cause global warming and climate change. By using nitrogen fertilizers, not only influences rice growth, but also air pollutant production like global warming and climate change. The carbon dioxide generated by nitrogen reacts with hydroxyl radicals in the atmosphere and changes the concentration of various air gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, thereby greatly affect global warming. According to Hussein et al. 2015, various factors such as water vapor, ozone, methane, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons contribute to the increase of the Earth's temperature. The primary contributor to greenhouse gas emission from rice cultivation is methane, produced in flooded fields under waterlogged, oxygen-deprived condition, which is organic matter decomposes, it releases methane, making rice cultivation a significant source of global methane emission. Carbon emissions are the release of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. They trap heat, causing the Earth's temperatures to rise. So the main source of carbon emission, according to et al. 2016, flooded rice fields, methanogens are responsible for the production of methane. Greenhouse gas emission from rice production. Rice farming emits greenhouse gases like methane and nitrous oxide, which are more potent than carbon dioxide in warming our planet. Now, let's see how this emission falls in Scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1, direct emission. This emission happened directly on the rice farm. In rice production, methane emission come from flooded rice fields. Fuel like diesel and petrol used from tractors and harvesters and pumps. And last is burning of rice straw or other biomass in the field. Scope 2, which is indirect emissions from purchased energy. This emission come from the electricity or energy the farm buys and uses, but are generated off-site like at a power plant. In rice production, electricity used for irrigation pumps, processing equipment, or storage. like dryers, fans, and etc. The farm uses this energy, but the emission come from where the electricity is made, like a power plant. Scope 3, which is indirect emission, or beyond the farm's direct control. These are all other emissions that happen along the rice value chain, but the farm doesn't directly control them. In rice production, like fertilizer production, emission from making and transporting fertilizers to the farm, machinery manufacturing, emissions from making the tractors or harvesters used on the farm, and transport emissions from transporting rice to mills or markets, packaging and retail, emission from processing, packaging, and selling the rice. So these emissions are linked to the rice but come from the other companies or processes. Why is rice production significant? Rice is a major contributor to climate change. It produces a lot of methane, a greenhouse gas 25 times more powerful than carbon dioxide over 100 years. Even though rice is a staple food, the way it's grown, especially in flooded fields, creates emissions that heat up the planet. Climate change affects everyone. More extreme weather, rising food prices, water shortage, and health impacts. Rice is a key food for billions, and half the world's population depends on rice. As the global warming increases, rice production faces a risk of drought, floods, pests. If we don't reduce emission from rice farming, it could threaten food security, which affect food prices and availability. Why is it rice production matters? Rice feeds the world, but it also heats it. Understanding its emission helps protect our planet, our food, and our future. Achieving carbon neutrality in rice production is important because rice is both global staple food and major source of greenhouse gas emission. Rice feeds more than half of the world's population, especially in Asia. Ensuring sustainable rice production is vital for future generations. Flooded rice fields releases large amounts of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. In fact, rice cultivation accounts for about 10% of global agricultural methane emissions. Without action, this emission will keep increasing as demand for rice grows. In short, achieving carbon neutrality in rice production is important because it reduces agricultural climate impact, secures long-term rice availability, and support both environment, sustainable, and farmers' livelihoods. Thank you.